Thank you, Denis, and thank you for the invitation and nice introduction. I will just make one small remark. I'm still working in Erasmus, but I'm also working now in Saint-Pierre in the center of Brussels, where we also had the opportunity to implement a new system of continuous recording of quality measure in colonoscopy, and that's I would like to share with you this experience and maybe which can help some of our colleagues to implement. And we have already one experience published in the literature in 2014 from the Amsterdam group, which shows the implementation of this quality monitoring based on a endoscopic reporting system, which showed that they had really good results concerning the different performance measure. But it's important to say that the ADR that was reported here need a human extra resource with a secretaress who has to look for the result of the pathology and to mix them with the result of the endoscopy in each patient. So it takes time. And so the idea we had in Erasmus initially, and we implement already also in Saint-Pierre, and the numbers I will show you, it's in the Hospital Saint-Pierre, is to organize something which is completely automated, but also for the ADR calculation. And the idea was to standardize recording, but also to avoid human resource, as I told you, and to have the opportunity to recurrently see the results of these quality measurements. And the data that we can observe is the cecal intubation rate, that's easy, the adequacy preparation, the polyp detection rate, but also the ADR, which is automatically calculated globally, the ADR 50, or split among the different indications, because we have also in the tab dedicated to the monitoring to say for which indication the colonoscopy is made. And just to go through the results from the beginning of year 2019, we had a cecal intubation rate which is a bit lower from the target that we should obtain. You see that the adequacy of the preparation was not perfect, and there is a room for improvement, as there is a room for improvement for the ADR 50, which is a little bit lower than the minimum target, which has to be reached through the ESG guidelines. This is the group from all the endoscopists in Saint-Pierre, but I would like to go through two of these points.
Another quality parameter is, of course, the prevalence of post-colonoscopy colorectal cancer. And Roland Valery is going to present now a lecture on colonoscopy performance between different countries with regard to the post-colonoscopy cancers. But this is pre-recorded.
My name is Roland Valery, and I'm going to be talking today about post-colonoscopy colorectal cancer. Now, I'm going to be making a case for PCRC as a key performance indicator. I'm going to define PCRC, explain how rates are benchmarked, and describe known risk factors for PCRC. Now, currently, we measure these key performance indicators, but many of them mean nothing to patients. If we look at things from a patient perspective, we come up with a slightly different list, and including in that is delayed diagnosis of cancer and failure to prevent cancer, essentially what PCRC is. Now, my preferred hierarchy of indicators for detection would put PCRC at the top. The problem is that this is a very infrequent outcome, and therefore sample sizes need to be very large. And secondly, we only record it many years after the procedure. Now, the World Endoscopy Organization published a consensus statement 2 years ago about PCRC. This statement recommended that PCRC be the preferred term for cancers appearing after a colonoscopy in which no cancer is diagnosed. Now, we demonstrated how benchmarking might be used in individual NHS hospitals in this paper published last year. And we found, not too surprisingly, that there was a lot of variation, 2 to 3 times between institutions, and that there are a large number of people diagnosed every year with a cancer appearing within 3 years of a colonoscopy that didn't show cancer. We can see more clearly whether particular institutions are outliers or not when we create a funnel plot. And we can risk adjust but when we risk adjusted, the scatter wasn't, it was a bit tighter, but not much tighter. Fewer patients were fewer organizations were outliers with risk adjustment. We looked at three-year cohorts and demonstrated that, not too surprisingly, more cancers were being diagnosed by colonoscopy during later years, but very importantly, the scatter, the variation got less in time, and I think this is a marker of improving quality. The mean rates were also improving. So overall, we think the quality of colonoscopy during this period was improving, which was very reassuring. I just want to describe one case to bring home the opportunity, really. So this patient had a cancer diagnosed after our audit in the middle of last year, 7 months after colonoscopy that was done by one of the best colonoscopists in our department. He has a very high adenoma detection rate, and he's a very careful and safe colonoscopist. And he got to the cecum super fast, and he'd seen a large lesion on the way in. And on the way out, he found a large LSTG in the hepatic flexure, and then took 50 to 60 minutes to remove it and tidy up the edges, collect all the bits in a Roth net, and then withdraw the scope. And he didn't see this lesion a few centimeters distal to the hepatic flexure lesion. And the patient came back for a site check. That was meant to be done at 6 months. It was done at 7 months. And the same endoscopist found this lesion and was, of course, mortified that he'd missed it. Now, the point here is that we've found in a number of cases in our institution of lesions, usually I have to say smaller than this and not necessarily malignant lesions, which have been missed when there's been a very difficult, complicated, or very prolonged endoscopic procedure. And the conclusion we draw is that if the endoscopist is tired or the procedure is going on very long, you're much more likely to miss things.